This is So Long Too Long, a true-to-life recounting of a band that, despite their very best efforts, seemed destined to break into the big time if they could only overcome one hurdle, themselves. If they weren't quite four lads who shook the world, they certainly gave their postcodes a tremble. In our last episode, we chronicled how, as the newly christened Albany, we devised and managed a transition from being three daft lads with far too much time on their hands into three daft lads who happen to be in the greatest band in the world with far too much time on their hands. Aided by a defaced Columbo logo and three new identities, we set about conquering the world and raising hell, or at least causing a mild stir in purgatory. In me writing this history of these years, I am aware that there is a danger that I try and portray myself as an angel or the sensible one of the group who saw through such puerile misadventures and was more concerned with the serious business of communicating our art to the masses. When in fact, due to being quite a shy youngster, I was actually just terrified of getting into any trouble and would avoid confrontation at any cost. Rowie and Steve, especially as Frank Button, cared much less about this and were much more comfortable adopting the roles of hellraisers whilst I watched with glee and a pang of jealousy at their carefree abandon. But this is also to say that we are talking, at best, of mild peril and nuisance here. We weren't the Fat White Family or the Libertines, but we wanted to give off the air that we might as well be. The punk wars weren't fought for nothing, pal. So yeah, we very much gave off the image of being the last gang in town, didn't we? Very much gave off the image of rebels without a clue. But in all honesty, the stuff we got up to it with the it wasn't going to make a Rolling Stone cover, was it?
Just being naughty boys, weren't it, really? I don't know why at that age you want to try and be like cool or something, don't you? And you're trying to you're getting in trouble when there's no witnesses to anything. So no one can even grass on you or anything. You're not going to get in trouble. No one's seen it.
But we wanted to chronicle it for MySpace, didn't we? We were talking just before we came on. We were talking about one of these incidents of mild peril that ended up going down in Albany folklore. Was we'd been in our mate Cody's, hadn't we? We'd been up all night playing our own version of card games, which was just essentially whatever card you got, you drank, wasn't it?
Lowest number, you'd have a shot.
Yeah.
Flod it was called. Yeah. But you had to reveal your card by striking it against your forehead.
There were literally no rules, were there? Literally, it was you've got a king. Oh yeah, well that means you've got to open a new can now. But
well, we couldn't even afford shots or anything so it was just a big bottle of Aussie Whites.
It was Aussie Whites, yeah.
So you had to have a few rounds before it even kicked in anyway.
A load of Rennies on hand as well.
Yeah.
But I remember I can't remember who it was, but there was someone, Bob was there, but there was someone else and they were going, I don't know the rules, what's going on? I'm like, there are literally no rules here. But why has he got to drink 2 shots for a 7, but you've got to drink 3 for a 9? So, well, that's
Shut up and drink.
Yeah. That's flawed. And on the way home in the wee hours, we passed, didn't we, on Queen's Drive. There's a field and there's a big sign for a school, a kids football academy or something.
Summer footy camp or something like that.
Yeah. And we
call this number now.
Yeah. And we thought, what would Keith Richards do? What would Mick Jagger do in this instance?
Probably just walk past it.
Yeah. But we thought the thing to do was tear it down, wasn't it? And it was absolutely enormous. It was so heavy and it was tied on with clips, wasn't it? It wasn't just a case of tearing down a poster. It was,
the cable tied on.
Yeah. We really had to graft it, getting it off for no.
Yeah, they had predicted some dickheads would come along and try and nick it. Clearly,
no, it was the length of a bus, though, weren't it?
Yeah,
it was about 5 foot tall. It was huge, absolutely huge. And this is some effort to pull it down.
It was, wasn't it? But this was, as Rowie was saying, this wasn't in broad daylight where, people were going to go, oh, how shocking. This is 3 a.m. with not a soul about.
And
You'll buy Aussie Whites.
yeah. And we finally get it down, and I think, faced with the enormity of it, we all shit ourselves, didn't we? Shit. We just tried to leg it with this, between the three of us, we must look like the Chuckle Brothers, mustn't we? And I got caught on the Steve's leg, and you went flying.
Oh man, I remember still. Good job we were playing flood, and I had about half a litre of Aussie Whites in me, because I even remember like that night, and I had like this shooting pain down my arm, and like there was all blood everywhere. And I was more concerned about getting this banner home.
If I remember, your slip was like pretty early on. I think it was near the Toby Carvery car park, so we didn't even get that far.
No.
It was. Your house, and particularly your wheelie bin, and this is going to be a theme across the episodes. Yours became like a treasure trove of stolen goods, didn't it? Like an absolute treasure trove of mild pedal.
Honestly, every morning, like it'd be like my dad's always an early riser, like, and he'd take the bins out, and then just there, fucking hell, stay. What's this in the wheelie bin?
Yeah, I mean, other bands at that time were probably experimenting with hard drugs, or all sorts of mischief, and us robbing a community service. But we put it to good use, didn't we? Though the flag eventually, because we met up the next day and was like, what do we do with it now? Well, we can't go put it back. But what the friggin' hell do we do with a banner the size of a bus?
The only thing that like made sense was like when you're watching like the festival coverage on the telly, like all the massive backdrops that they have. Like now it's like LED lights or like video displays, but there was always like a backdrop for like the bands, because they've gotten on. We'll just have a big like sheet behind us. So if we just flip over this bright yellow footy tournament advert, maybe we can just like scribble the Albany on it with like permanent marker, and that might do. Yeah, that might do that.
We hadn't. What I like about it though is if we had the banner and we had all the writing on it so people could see it, but then on the back it still had like Tony's footy camp.
But we hadn't even played a gig at this point, and we were like, when we played Leeds Festival, we need the backdrop. Yeah, we do. Yeah, trying to justify why we've done this act of minor vandalism and got the permanent marker out and scribbled the Albany on it, and then I think we even wrote a set list on it. I mean, fucking hell, who the hell did we think we were writing a set list on this?
It must have been a massive dick drawn on it as well.
Inevitably, Frank Button would have adorned.
I don't even think there would have been a venue in town that you'd be able to fit it on the back wall anyway, to be honest.
Be waiting for the Glastonbury slap, weren't we? That's it, man. That's it. Yeah, they were the type of antics we got up to, but even then I was like, I'm terrified of getting caught here. I mean, the idea that I was going to be a rock star and a rebel when something like that would, the next day I'd be panicking, going, oh God, what if somebody knocks and what if somebody saw us?
No such thing as bad press.
Oh, bloody hell.
But even like the wheelie bin, like Amazon do that a lot now. When you're not in, you just lash it in the bin. So a bit of a trend setter already.
Yeah. We're pioneers.
Yeah, but like, didn't you get wasn't your drum stool just a pub stool?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for a while, because I didn't want to spend any. Well, I didn't have any money, and like any money I did have, I wanted to put on Aussie Whites and Fireball pills, and the worst bloody weed I could get my hands on, and clean weed.
So you would have just lifted that after getting kicked out the Albany, like last orders, and then think, oh, I haven't took nothing home tonight. I'm gonna have to rob something.
Yeah, it was that and a big and one of those skull ashtrays. Remember them? You were like, like if you got one of them over the edge, you'd wake up like 10 years later.
I forgot what your drum stool was genuinely a stool nick from the Albany, wasn't it?
And even like the drum dampeners would have been like fucking beer towels, wouldn't they?
But more generally, as time ticked on, we were increasingly aware that we wouldn't get to Glastonbury without songs. So, finding time in between mammoth drinking sessions in the Albany pub and posting endless MySpace bulletins, we cracked on with developing our songs in Steve's attic, and it didn't take us long to get together a set of songs that we thought were great. We just needed a gig now. That summer, I'd finished my A-levels and I was readying myself for uni. But the school I had attended owned a pub in Sandfield Park that old boys could make use of. And in a decision that predictably caused weekly scenes of absolute carnage, allowed sixth formers to attend. Quite how or why it happened escapes me now. But in early September, the 9th to be exact, we were offered a gig in there. I think we were supporting the Alphites, a band made up of other lads in my year who had played a proper gig in town earlier that year and were therefore our competition. The Alphites wore matching uniforms on stage and enforced a 2-drink maximum before gigs. We very much did neither. The gig offer had only come through the night before, and I remember Rowie's trepidation, which was understandable given that he had only been properly playing guitar for a matter of months. But I insisted we took the gig, and if nothing else, treated it as a warm-up for our first real gig, which would inevitably come our way before long.
So the offer for the first gig in the CI, which is mad that my school had a pub. It was called the CI. We were predictably in the Albany the night before, weren't we? Yeah. And I can't remember. I don't know if someone called me because it wouldn't have had smartphones then. So somebody must have called me and offered the gig, and it put us on our toes, didn't it? For all our bravado, getting that offer, it was a bit like oof.
Yeah, the ball's rolling now, innit?
Yeah. I remember a sense of like nervousness and are we ready? Again for all our macho machismo posing, it was like, an actual get up, we've got to play the music for other people now. Shit.
You were probably thinking that, but I was thinking like, what the fuck is about to happen here? I was pretty green, and like, working it out. It was only like 4 months in between like the forming the band and like getting offered to play this gig, but yeah, I wouldn't have had a clue. So even like the practices, all the practices, like were they even serious in Steve's Love? Like what was happening? Like, shit, there is a whole point to this.
Yeah.
This thing, like a gig. And I probably would have been like shitting bricks, to be fair. But
we would work on the songs, wouldn't we?
I remember practicing, but like you it's like a shock still that well for us personally, because like you had done it before, like in the same venue, man. Like, but
I was supremely confident, I'll be honest. Because the Jimmy Savile experience went down so well in a school pub. So
all I had to do was not jib it in the car park, basically.
Yeah, nothing could get worse yet than finishing the gig, thinking we're going to take the world now, and the guitarist going, I've had enough of this. So, and to be fair, he knew 10 chords. You knew 3, so you were on your way. You're on the right trajectory.
Yeah, but we had the flag, we had the banner. We had our.
And to be fair, the kids that watched us there, they could have, they could have enjoyed us, or they could have joined the football camp.
Nothing better to do. It's meant to be playing footy tonight. I'll come and watch you instead.
Tony was probably in the crowd going, "That's me flag."
Oh man! So the Alphites, they were they'd had gigs while we were in sixth form, and they'd played the Barfly in town. I think I went down to it actually, and I just remember being sick with envy, just like, what? How's someone beat me to it? How's someone got a proper gig? You've got to buy tickets for this. So probably about £3 on the door, wasn't it? But I just remember being sick with envy, going, oh man. And I don't know if they'd recorded, but people certainly knew some of the songs as well. So I was green with envy, like just really, really chomping at the bit. So I can't remember what the event was or what the gig was all about. But when they said, "Do you want to play with them?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I want to blow it away, man." We haven't got a bassist. No, it doesn't matter.
I remember turning up with my bin bags in a lot of pain, still from falling over, and like being like all the drums digging into my back and all that, and their drummer, he was dead nice lad, but I hated them all. just because like they had all the equipment, they even had girlfriends and that, and we were just like, and I just remember like I'm saying, have you got this? You got that? And I was like, clearly not, mate. Like, I haven't even got me mind at the moment. I've had about 6 cans of Viborg and a shot of Aussie White. So let's just get it rolling.
Playing cards stuck to me foddy.
Have you seen our flag? So yeah, I was like, I tried to not focus too much on what they were doing. I just focused all my energy on hating them. Even though they're all dead nice lads.
Oh yeah, I was mates with them, like, but they were our rivals when it came to that, because I was just chomping at the bit. When I can't, as much as I like the lads, I cannot have them conquering town before we conquered it, man.
Because I didn't know them, so because like you'd been in the school with them. So the first thing that struck me is like what you mentioned before, is like they actually looked the part. Well, they all had the same gear on, whether they looked the part or not. And yeah, it's just like, oh, what are these doing? Like, these look proper here, then you're looking like where you actually are. And it's just like this old boys club. Like you said, like, oh, I can't quite like add it all up together here, but yeah, they are direct competition right now. So let's let them know they're in a battle here.
Although I do remember, like, genuinely when it was Jim, the drummer, again, lovely bloke, but when he said, right, remember guys, 2 drink maximum, Joe's nearly hit the floor when he said 2 drinks maximum before we play. Fucking what? The idea of that was outrageous.
In this building.
Yeah, it was outrageous. And we buzzed off that. We absolutely buzzed off that. Yeah. Again, we've said it before, but essentially they weren't the last, so we hated them. Well,
yeah,
didn't hate them, but do you know what I mean? We were like, nah, I'm not having them. You're not the lads. Just we didn't help ourselves, did we?
But did they have coloured ties? They all had a different coloured tie? Was it?
And I think did they all dress in black with a different coloured tie or something? Or
something zany.
Yeah, something. I think it was black shirts, and if they all had like red ties on, or maybe they had different coloured ties. I don't know. I mean, absolutely.
They had a logo as well, didn't he? Didn't it? Yes. Like a cassette with like.
Oh yeah.
Was it skull and?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. They were doing everything we should have been doing, but instead we had our Colombo logo. We had no gear, and we were just on for a night out rather than like the idea that no, we've got a job to do here. It was the exact opposite, wasn't it?
Definitely. And like I say, I was probably like shitting myself. Like what am I doing here? Imposter syndrome, whatever.
They had printed set lists as well. I remember that.
See, this is the
like
problem.
on A4 paper.
This is the problem. Like, why would you waste your time getting a little uniform, printing out a set list, like 2 drink max and all that? Fucking hell, like I knew nothing like about being in a band, but I know you're not meant to give a fuck, are you? Just like crack on. You're putting all that effort into like shitty logos and all that carry on. Like, what's the point, now? You still sound shit. Know what I mean?
I just think, don't trust the drummer. He doesn't wear footy socks.
Freak.
Do you know what? As well, they were dead sound as well.
Yeah, I know.
I just sat there looking at them, like, and even like before I even heard them play or any songs, we were sitting there just going, "These are shit." And
it was just purely because they weren't ours, or they weren't us, or you know.
Yeah. But every band, I just saw that. Like it could have been the next big band, could be in anyone, and I just sit there and go, "They're shite." And the name shit. Like we had any sort of like opinion really that we could offer, given that we had the Albany Colombo and a load of shit equipment that didn't work.
And yeah. And miraculously, it wasn't as bad as our first gig there as the Jimmy Savile experience. And actually, on that night, it's all just come back to me then. The original bass player of the Alphites, he's God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. He jumped on bass for us for a handful of songs in that first.
Oh, he did, yeah.
We didn't know the songs, but we wrote out the root notes. So, God rest him, Jeff. He was for the Jimmy Savile experience, then to the Alphites, and
yeah, he's a lovely lad. Then.
Yeah. But in terms of the gig, we were like, nope, you're the enemy.
yeah. As soon as he put the bass down, I was like, fucking hate him as well.
True to form, our set lists were scribbled on the back of beer mats with their labels peeled off, and miraculously, one survives to this day. I'm looking at a picture of it now in wonder. It was Steve's copy. Naturally, he'd signed a Frank Button for the eventual Antiques Roadshow valuation, and as a result, I can go into a bit more detail about the songs. The first thing that jumps out at me when looking at this set list is the preposterous fact that out of the 7 songs, bookending the set is one song called Intro and one called Outro. We were far from a concept prog band, and to assume that we had crafted the set list with a thematic entrance and climatic finale would be to give us far too much credit. We were much more literal. That's a boss song to start with. That'd make a great intro. Let's call it Intro. And, it's a mad one, that. Let's end with it. Just call it Outro. Sound. Titles were clearly not our strong point. But anyway, the songs. Song 1, Intro. Intro was a good tune, actually. It was a stomping, bouncing song that could have passed as a long-lost early Lars demo. It only lasted about a minute and a half, featuring the same lyric repeated, and had an incessant mindworm of a riff running through it, but we played it with intense gusto and stamped our feet like we were Scouse maestros in a way that carried the song beyond its limits. Had I spent more time on Intro, it might have developed into something bigger, and I dabbled with the idea of doing so and calling it Scattered, but it never progressed beyond this, and as a, intro, it was perfect for us.
So the songs then, we've got our set list. I mean, as I say, I can't believe that at no point did we go, this looks a bit mad, this having intro and outro on the set list. You know, there's no kind of creativity there. It was just very literal.
I thought that's what everyone would have done. Done it before.
But it's not like we had a 23 song set list and it makes sense there. Like, you know, we're not Pink fucking Floyd. You know, we're 3 Scanleys with a stolen football banner, and we've got intro 5 songs out.
I just always thought, like, with intro, because we never knew when we start the gig, and with that, how drunk one of us was going to be, or what would have happened leading up to the gig, any sort of like silliness. So then I was just treated intro as like, it might warm us up a bit before we actually need to play songs, given that it's only 3 chords and like a minute long. So if we get through intro, we're all right.
we can't walk off now.
That was always my rule. Though, if we get through intro, the rest of the set we'll manage it.
We'll get to the end.
We'll get to the outro.
We'll get to the outro. Yeah, everything in between. You know, just keep on it in those toms. Fucking toms.
Well, intro was a good song, man. We miraculously, Roey's found an old hard drive, haven't you, with a lot of this stuff, so we can bring it back to mind. And one thing that jumps out at me is that intro was genuinely, it had a real good vibe to it, man. As I say, it could have been a Lars rip-off, let's not kid ourselves, but you know, if a sort of band open with that now, I think I'd be like, oh yeah, there's something there.
Oh, it's a fucking great little tune, to be honest, but like, for us, starting with intro, because I played rhythm predominantly, then like whatever towards the end, but that riff at the start, like, I know like guitarists are meant to do like finger exercise to warm up and all that, but I just felt like I had like fucking arthritic hands trying to do that. It was getting nowhere near to what it was meant to sound like. But yeah, it was a good little tune. It's a fucking great little tune, to be honest. Yeah, loved it. It is a boss little song, but like you say, just thank God it was short compared to like the rest of the songs at least. But it's like you say, if you can get through that, the rest should, in theory, be a breeze, because it ain't going to be like that frenetic. It was just like go.
It was a real stomper of a song. I can't remember what I was trying to rip off, but it probably would have been that. It was a bit like I Can't Sleep by the Lars, that type of song, wasn't it? You know, that feel to it. And I remember years later people were saying that it was good, but they'd ask, what was that first song about? Oh, intro. And they'd just shake their heads at me, going, what's it called? Oh, intro. Oh. Yeah, no, it was a good song, that. It was a good song.
I remember it just being the one that had a proper drum beat to it. All the way through it.
Yeah, and
without you turning around and going, why don't you play that? And like, where's your cowbell?
But it was a good song because it had a little pause in it, didn't it? Even though it's only a minute and a half long.
Like a little pregnant pause.
Yeah. After the singing finished, there was a tiny pause with a little guitar fill, and then straight back into the drums. And Well done, us. That was a good song, that.
Yeah, it was.
Song 2, Face in the Crowd. Oh God, this was fucking awful. It was me trying to write something that could sit on a Northern Soul by the Verve, but it ended up sounding like I was trying to recreate Be Here Now, an infamously bloated, aimless mess, just on a £5 budget. With lyrics even more excruciating than Richard Ashcroft at his worst, it was overblown and full of unjustified ego. It featured the dreadful lyric, "The skies approve, so let me fly," which amazingly wasn't the worst line in the song. Face in the Crowd was me imagining being idolised, seeing my name in hard-won lights, and demanding the, also imaginary, crowds of people who had previously spurned me to tell me now how I look in your eyes. One of the many daft things about this song is that beyond having my romantic affections perpetually rejected by one girl in sixth form who I pathetically pined for, nobody in my life had ever actually scorned or spurned me to such a degree that I would try and write a scathing retort. I was hardly Bob fucking Dylan writing positively 4th Street, so I don't know exactly who I was railing against or what I was trying to prove, which all amounts to this being a phenomenal waste of time. Given that Rowie was still getting to grips with the guitar and was assigned to rhythm duties, I stepped up to deliver 2 limp, insipid solos during this song that added nothing to anything. Absolute dog shit.
Facing the Crowd, right? I cringe even thinking about Facing the Crowd. I just got my head in my hands here. Facing the Crowd was fucking dog shit. Just fucking, just even seeing those 4 words, Facing the Crowd, I'm just like, oh my God, what was it doing?
Well, what bit don't you like? The lyrics or the song?
Yeah.
All of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like, I'm no good at like writing songs anyway. I thought it was a decent one to play. Like, I'm not a fan of Oasis or anything like that, but it was like, for me, like an Oasis sound and song. Yeah. But if you're like trying to channel like this inner beast, whatever, and you're not happy with it, that's a shame, man. That's a shame.
It was, very Northern Soul, wasn't it? Like, like it never make it on the album, God no.
No, God no.
Like it did have that sound to it. I remember not hating it when we used to play it.
Oh yeah. At the time, we. Well, the lyrics said it all, man. Our name just was in lights, or it was just a matter of time before. Oh God, I'm cringing even. It's something like,
go on, Matty.
It's a matter of time before 4 corners of the world are mine. I mean, it's dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I think I was coming out of everyone has an Oasis phase in the teens, don't they? You know, when you get into music, you get a guitar, you get an Oasis chord, but. And now I'm really I can't listen to Oasis at all. But I think this is like the tail end of me being into Oasis, because then you get into the Lars, and then through that you get into Love, and through that you get into all sorts of stuff, and you look back at Oasis and think, why was I ever listening to them? And it's like, when I look back at this, I was like, why was I ever writing shit like that? Like, it was just dreadful. But it's of its time.
It's like buying Rocky, isn't it? In Birkenhead, it's just a gateway drug.
Yeah, so this is our Rocky. Yeah. It was, and again, it probably went on far. I remember having 2 solos, but it was the same solo twice, not even like doing anything interesting with it. And it was just, but as I say, like when I look at the lyrics and I don't know. I had nothing to moan about. You know what I mean? Like, I was like,
Well, the thing is, you had the Rastafarian flag around your mic as well, and you'd like pissed off Rasta.
Yeah, just absolute rebel without a cause, without a clue. I just thought it's what you did. Yeah. Again, it's all this nonsense about like the rock star persona that you feel you've got to inhabit. So you write a shit song like this about how the world doesn't understand me until you matter it. And when I'm at the top, I'll be looking down on you all and man, it's dreadful.
I knew we should have been Nemo band.
Christ, draw a line on the face in the crowd, lad.
Let it disappear. Let it disappear.
Back into the crowd.
Back into the crowd. Turn round.
Song 3, 2 Minds. 2 Minds was me essentially rewriting Son of a Gun by the Lars, and there's a theme emerging here, isn't there? Again, the basics of this song are surprisingly alright for a first flourish of songwriting. And though there are heaps of clumsy lines, as I misguidedly tried to address the topic of what I then ignorantly thought schizophrenia was, it was a step towards something half decent. I remember that some years later, John from the Bandits, who were for a while just before we started gatekeepers of the local music scene, liking the song, so it was by no means a disaster. But for some reason during this stage of the band, I had a strong distaste of any use of the hi-hat cymbals, which for those unaware is pretty central to most drum beats. I therefore rejected many of Steve's suggestions for drum patterns, urging him to use as many of his tom drums as possible, which are the thudding deep drums. This meant that at this stage, nearly every song had a relentless pounding beat. It must have driven Steve mad. I don't know why I insisted on this. Maybe Steve's kit sounded bad using the hi-hats. Perhaps the lower frequencies of the floor and rack toms made up for the lack of a bass guitar, or maybe, and I suspect this is more likely, I thought these booming drums sounded dead rootsy la, as if I was the next Lee Mavers, a cosmic messenger trying to replicate the beating heart of the universe. What a tosser. Anyway, Two Minds had this drum pattern, bar a fuck it, don't know what else to do, wig out on the cymbals halfway through. A solid 3 stars on a kind day, with the wind blowing in the right direction.
Two Minds, yeah. Two Minds was it was half decent. This
Two Minds got a good like little intro, good like guitar, like kind of like finger picking at the start, hasn't it? And then it's just got the craziest drums.
Definitely. Especially all off like.
Yeah.
But like you say, that finger picking style, like dead intricate, whatever. But then with your drums over the top, just totally like wall of sound, just lost. What's the point?
What's that Metallica song halfway through, and like it suddenly changes to this like it's just all toms. Is it one? Is it? And he just starts shouting. Ship, like yeah, but it's like it goes into this like fucking dead heavy tom beat, and I'm like, that works when it's like all electric guitars and that, and you're finger picking, and I'm going.
Yeah, and in the middle was the I say solo. I guess it wasn't. I don't know what you call it, interlude, and just. We didn't know what else to do, so I think you just sod this, just twat the cymbals, just. It must have been mad. I must have driven you mad, because I do remember, Steve, any time I'd bring a song and you'd kind of go to play on your hi-hats, I'd be like, nah, no hi-hats, Steve. No, I don't know why.
You were funny with snares as well. Like every time I want to just go.
No drums in there. Funny with you, Steve, probably. Fuck off, Steve.
Just stick to the floor, Tom.
You ever seen a skiffle band?
Yeah, big marching drum. That's what we should have. Just one big massive drum. Just pound. I don't know why. I was just averse to the hi-hat, which is it's mad, because it's like one of the main things in any drum beat is the hi-hat, and I was just nah, drop that, Steve. Go back, go that pound and dead rootsy la. Yeah, that's what we want. Oh, God, that must have been insufferable.
We did it. Yeah, it didn't sound great. We did record it, I think. And
yeah, eventually we
did
about a year later. Yeah, and it's just mental, just these mad pounding tom drums, and then out of nowhere, about 30 seconds of just cymbal, and then back to the toms.
I do remember experimenting at one point. I had a double bass drum pedal at one point. I remember that, and I was thinking maybe I can try and fit that in. Imagine if we got that in a folk song with a double bass drum with no bassist.
How did that pass? How did we let you in with a double? That's defo not rootsy. How did that slip past us? That
I just had it set up. I don't think you had a clue. You were too busy, like, listening to Bob Marley and getting angry at the world. How you managed that one? Well, I set up this little double bass drum.
Sneaky.
It was of the more mature side of our songs. If we compare fucking Facing the Crowd to this, there's a definite shift. You know, there was
There's a road we're walking down in it, like
Yeah.
with the intro and Two Minds.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long. It wasn't a long song. Like some of these songs were
I don't know
quite
what I would say
long.
this.
That one.
Why weren't we saying this at the time, Steve?
Matty, you know these fucking third verse.
Was it the second?
Does it need that third
It
guitar solo?
looks short, but it probably would have been about 45 minutes. Looking at it now.
I just had it in my head when I was writing songs at this point. I was just like, right, there is a pattern you follow. So you have your intro, then you have your first verse, sometimes chorus, sometimes you go into your second verse, then you have a chorus, then you have an instrumental, then you repeat your first verse, and then you have an outro. And I just felt I had to, that's how you write a song, which meant that half the time I'm just repeating the first verse. Just needlessly, it doesn't. Oh man, like Facing the Crowd's 2 solos is a testament to that. But Two Minds original, I remember fucking like talking about like ripping off the Lars. This one was actually initially just a direct rip off of Son of a Gun, like direct. I remember playing to somebody once, and he was like, "The fuck? That's just Son of a Gun. What are you playing at?" So right, okay.
Imagine it with fucking loads of noise behind it. It's never gonna anymore.
Yeah, that song by Metallica.
But yeah, again, I'd give it. It's a commendable effort.
Yeah, absolutely. In that set, it's a highlight.
Highlight, but no hi-hat.
Is that a compliment?
No.
It's the oldest trick in the book, but we're going to leave you wanting more there. We'll be back with the next episode very soon, where we go into the rest of the set and we detail Heavens Above, the Albany's first ever gig. So Long Too Long is a podcast written by me, Matty Lackland-Day, also starring Liam Rowlands and Steve Buckley. For more information, search So Long Too Long podcast on all socials or email us at solongtoolongpod@gmail.com. So Long Too Long is part of the Club Shipwreck network. For more information, go to www.patreon.com/Club Shipwrecked. Thanks to John Gibbons and the Anfield Rap for loan of the studio.
I like playing in the dark, man.